Thank you, Safina. So this was panel 1. And so we learn a lot from North Africa and Egypt, and the names that were given to women preachers goes from Murshidat, Wa'idat, to women in university campuses, Da'iyat, to Safina's presentation, to Muhaddithat. So we have 30 minutes to receive all the questions and answer them, discuss them with our presenters online and here physically in this room. So the floor is yours. People can raise their hand. Yeah, you can raise your hands, those who are on Zoom. You can also use the chat, use every way to ask your questions. And
Says if anyone has a question here, so everybody can hear it.
We'll start with people in the room, attendees in the room.
Ahmed, is there a way we can see everybody on Zoom?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for that enriching panel. So I noticed there are a lot of terms given to these particular women. And I'm hesitating to say leaders because that seems to be one of the terms that they're not supposed to be called. And another term was, I noticed that it seems like imam is an allergy for this particular genre. So with you mentioned Murshidat, Wa'idat, there doesn't seem to be an issue with the term Sheikha or Muftiya, but specifically for the term Imam. Also, there was mentioned someone became a commissioner and a female commander, but it just seems again that the specific term of Imam is problematic. Why is that?
Ahmed, you want to talk about
And I know that in some instances, Muslim women are called imam. I know of these instances, and it's not a competition, but I'm just wondering why in this instance that is problematic.
Yes, it is problematic. I will let Ahmed answer.
So
Imam.
Just to clarify the question, because I was busy, I'm so sorry. So the question about the connotation of the Murshidat and Wa'idat name or the, right?
So I expanded it to, sorry. I expanded it to, there doesn't seem to be an issue of muftiya or sheikha. There was female commander and commissioner of etc. It seems like this one term imam is the issue, and that there doesn't seem to be a male version of a wa'id or a murshid, even though there are. But I'm just saying that that particular term seems to be an issue to call these women imams. Why is that?
Okay, thank you.
Especially culturally.
Thank you so much for the question. The name has a connotation, and this is one of the most important part actually. Even in Egypt situation, you have, for example, I'm talking here about males, not females, to understand more about the name. So in Al Azhar, for example, they called wa'idh a male preacher. And in Al-Awqaf, the endowment ministry, they called imams. So why they are different? I'm talking here about males. So why they are different? Because an imam, the one who leads the prayer, giving khutbahs, they are very constrained with their mosque. They are inside the masjid. Wa'idh in Al-Azhar is not a person who is just preach or give lectures inside one masjid. They are going everywhere. So they go to clubs, they go to prisons, they go to social gathering, they go to masjids for sure. So wa'id is a more term that is for the social like severe or environment, more only in the masjid. So now going to your question about females. Females is a connotation. If you say imam in the more understanding in the local environment, it will be about somebody who's leading the prayer. And leading the prayer, this is, as Asma mentioned, it was a huge problem. Are you preparing females to lead prayers? And everybody was anxious. No, this is not allowed in Islam. So they were actually saying they are for preaching, not for imamate, which means they are not leading prayers with males and females. So that's why it was better for audiences to accept them that to have sheikha or murshida. Sheikha normally is when you are talking about the Quran circles, so or muallima. So they use the term muallima and sheikha, educator and a scholar in circles like Quranic circles. In the official circles, they use murshida. In Morocco, they use wa'idha. In Egyptian situation, it was not very different. Like actually, nobody talked about female preachers as in Morocco, for example, because wa'idh in Egypt is very famous. So as soon as you have a wa'idha, they understand the connotation that is for preaching. It's not they are saying that they are going to lead prayers, and that's acceptance from the audience themselves. So I think that it's important to understand the terms and how the connotation inside the terms. But as an imam, for example, like Sister Safina was talking about muhaddithat. So we have many imams in schools, jurisprudence, like Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam. We had never had this term was talking about a female, as I understand. They don't say imama as a school head of a school, for example, in the past. So they always used muhaddithat or alimat, scholar, or hadith expert, or so that's actually is not just present. It has been previously perceived, or al-Mu'mineen, as the mother of believers for the Prophet wives.
Murshidat, also the Arabic word arshada, yurshidu, murshid is guide, religious guide. So Murshidat, soon after they finished school and they graduated, they find themselves counseling. So there was a debate. That was 2003 in Morocco. The debates. So history is very important because it was at the same time Amina Wadud in the United States led the prayer, and there was that debate in Morocco as well. Are Murshidat going to lead the prayer in Morocco? So this is debatable, of course, because it's gonna change the structure of the prayer, which is a big thing in Arab world, not just Morocco. When I say leadership or leading the prayer, that means making changes to the prayers, how the prayers are performed. Is this accepted or not? So the debate is there. Murshidat, they graduated, they started doing their job. They were, of course, because of the geography of Morocco in North Africa, which is gate to Europe. So ideas intermingle together. The waves, Western waves, and African, North African, Moroccan waves intermingle together. So it was a terrain where people say what they want to say, and it was a big thing in the news. But at the end of the day, Murshidat, their job was irshad or al-wa'd in Egypt, meaning guiding a group of women in the community, in the Moroccan community, from north to middle to south, who cannot access information. And as the background, we talked about the background of women were recruited by ISIS and they returned to Morocco. These women who were recruited by ISIS, they returned to Morocco. So their husbands were, they are imprisoned, but they released the women. So the country did that. They released the women who were illiterate. So which means here education is important. So first, this category of people need to be in school, in an informal school, is in an, let's say, continuing education school. They need everything from knowing about their body, their health, their knowledge, then the religious knowledge, which is why the role of Morshidat was very important, the psychological level and at the educational level. And also, some of the, in the literature, it says that Morshidat find themselves as a category, structurally wise, as a category added to the big category, which is by Wazarat al-Awqaf, which is the A'imma, which is under the University of Mohammed VI Institute. Yeah.
If it's possible, I would love to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to add explanation or to add more information about the expression of imama. By the way, linguistically, imama comes from the word imam, and it comes from the root amma. Amma means someone leads something. And it doesn't matter to be in the religious field, and it should be it could be in everywhere. So here, our imam is Jackie and Rahina. They are leading the conference, so they are our imams here. And because of that, when we're talking about the imama, in Islam, it includes many meanings, depends on the context. When we're talking about al-imamatul uzma means in the history of our ummah or the nation of Muslims, it means the caliph. The one he came after the prophet and he carried the responsibility. When we're talking about the imamah in salah, the one he is leading salah. When we're talking about the imam, depends on the gender or male or female. Actually, women can lead salah, but she can lead salah with conditions, and the male can lead salah with specific conditions. So sometimes we used to have a confusion about these words, and we're using sometimes the expression in a different context, which it makes the confusion. Wa'idha, she's imama. And the expression imam in the history of our ummah or in the subhanallah, ulum, al-hadith, tafsir, and all of these, mashallah, ulum, many scholars very well known, like Imam al-Bukhari. When they gave a biography about Imam al-Bukhari, they mentioned a few names of, not few names, over 10 names of females. They were the teachers of Imam al-Bukhari, and some of them, they went up to the level of al-imamatu in ilm al-hadith. So when we're talking about imama, it's not hard to understand it when we're analyzing the expression and try to understand it in the context as it is. As it is. Thank you. I'm sorry for that.
And like one of the non-mainstream famous opinions that one of the schools, the Hanbali school, they actually, this is a very old debate. Can a female be a prophet or not? And also, can a female lead a prayer with males and females or not? And we have one opinion from one of the Hanbali schools talked about that. For sure, we have an expert here in more that literature. So
Yeah, but at the end, when we're talking about something like prophet and the conditions of the prophets, it's qualifications. And actually, in the Kutub al-Aqidah, there are specific qualifications for the prophets. It's okay to have different opinions, but the imama for salat, the imama for the ummah, the imama for scientifics, it's different contexts.
so, do you have a
Exactly.
question?
No, I don't have a question. I might have an intervention.
I
That's why.
want to ask you a question. I have a question for you and for Safina. Both of you, I want to, in the historical framework that you used, and Safina as well, if you hear me, you started with al-Mu'minin Aisha and Khadija, and this framework, it seems sometimes as apologetic and defensive, as sometimes you try to prove something that we are defending that women has been there in Islam, or can I understand it as clearing misunderstanding that has been going through for centuries? So how can we perceive that, you and Safina and a lot of us actually, when we talk about women in Islam, it seems like very defensive, as we are defending something that it's like we are ashamed of or something. So can you please, while you are having a comment, to talk about that?
Actually, I always do say that what we do, explain to our audience is not defensive, because we are not here to defend, but we are here to explain and to prove to give evidence-based suggestions and statements. The thing is that when I ask when I say out aloud the names with the dates, with the roles, with the influence that these women and ladies left. Okay, these are evidence and proof-based information that many people might not know, because you, as a researcher, I'm sure, of course, you do know all these things, but there are some details that many people do not know, and it's very important for us to reveal out that to as much people as, even Muslims. They might skip such information. And as I said, that some people who come and visit the observatory from all around the world, they do not know these. This is also another thing that I always say, that 80% of Muslims do not live in the Arab world. They do not speak Arabic. They do not know Arabic. They always get their information, even about Islam, through a channel. So if that channel is not proper, it's not honest enough, it will give you and it will mislead you. Okay, and this misleading, of course, it causes misusing and so on. So we are just trying to not to, as we're saying, defending, but only to clarify and to make the people understand this through dates and numbers and all that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Can I-
Thank you.
Can I just quickly make a comment? Yes. There have always been lots of different kinds of preachers, right? Like, why is this only one kind of preacher? That's the admonisher.
Okay.
Right? But there have always been preachers. There have always been preachers that are both institutionalized and uninstitutionalized. There have always been Sufi preachers and itinerant preachers preaching stuff that is. Preaching stuff. There have always been preachers that have preached outside of the system, right? Wise is an admonisher. But there have always been Sufi preachers and other sorts of itinerant preachers who are preaching, who are telling tales about the prophets that are not officially accepted, right? It's always been an issue with preachers that so there have always been different kinds. I find it fascinating to think about this as another period of time where preaching has become where preaching is fitting into what is relevant, whether it's media or whether it's like the difference between a kind of secular institution, we might call it, and a religious institution. What's official and what's unofficial, but that's always sort of existed.
Yes.
Anyway, I just wanted to add.
I think Safina, you want to say something? I don't know.
I mean, I can add
Yes,
a question and then.
Yes, please.
Go ahead. So, yeah, hello everyone again. This is so exciting. So let me see how to organize my thoughts. I have a question for Dr. Reham and a question for Safina and for Binyamin and for, your people as well. So I really like Ahmed's question to Dr. Reham in terms of, why he thought maybe, part of, your speech came off as maybe, like apologetic. And so I have struggled for a while with two different, sometimes I'll say opposing thoughts. One, I think it has, it's clear now in the literature that we know that women, since from the beginning of Islam, they have contributed a lot. We know the contribution of Aisha, radiallahu anha. We know the contribution of, Salama, Waraka. I think that was the woman that was given permission by the Prophet to lead her household in Salah. And later times, your paper or no, your keynote talk about Nana Asma Danfodio, that's West Africa, Sayyida Al-Hurra, many of them, right? So we know that has been established. I believe Muslim women have agency. I believe I have agency. I believe that, the preachers or the scholars, the female scholars I'm studying, they have agency. But what I have been, I will say, struggling with is I do not believe that agency is not constrained. Like how much of an agency, so I'm not talking about me now, the woman I'm studying, how much of an agency is there? What kind of agency is it? And I would love to hear from Ahmed and Asma and you. So we have, the perspective from Morocco, we have Egypt, and Safina talk about Nigeria, Safina and Binyamin, and I believe she mentioned that that women implicitly challenge patriarchal interpretations. So I would like to hear her give an example of that, especially in the context of northern Nigeria. And from you, I would like to hear from you. Do you think this voice that the female preachers have is positively impacting the lives of Muslim women? And what I mean by that is, we look at so to be very frank here, I see a difference between. So part of the reason I fell in love with the Quran and tried to study the Quran directly is because of my experiences. So I found myself, at an early age, divorced, a single mother, and I don't know if I'm sharing too much, but I don't mind, and I had to take care of my children alone. And at that time, I have memorized a large portion of the Quran, but I didn't know Arabic language. And then at some point, I could read, write, but I wasn't understanding. And then suddenly one day, when I started understanding the language, then I was reading Surah Al-Talaq, أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن. It's like, where is this from? So the verse was saying that, divorced women should be given shelter by their, by the fathers of their children, and even be paid to take care of the children. And if they, they are breastfeeding the children, وَإِنْ أَرْضَعْنَكُمْ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ. And I was living in a housing society that was majority Muslim. I never heard about that. I never seen someone do that. So, that's, when I come to present my paper, that is like my point of critique is within and focusing on the difference between what Quran says and what is there on ground. And then again, back to you, do you think, I don't know the context in Egypt and Morocco, but I know the context in Nigeria. So how much of a difference do you think these female preachers, are making to the lives of women positively? Thank you. Yeah, so, okay. Would you like me
Yes, you can go ahead.
So, as I said from the very beginning, things are really connected. I'm gonna use my background in cultural studies to answer you. And I think the case of Morocco, one of the obstacles is that a lot of the writings that have been written on agency is not translated to from Arabic to English. Why? Because Morocco is francophone. Okay, so Morocco went a long way, came from a long way towards women achievement and agency. So I would like to use the concepts of intertextuality. Are you familiar with that? Jacques Derrida, intertextuality. So it simply mean taking from this text and this text and this text and this text to create a body that answer all these questions. The case of Morocco is unique because of geography, of let's say colonial discourse. Somebody talks about colonial discourse and Sufi women, how Sufi women were resisting the colonial discourse, which means they were powerful. Same thing applies to the case of Morocco, because during colonialism, in Morocco, the independence was in 1956, and there were women Sufis, Sufi groups, and they were so powerful to the level that colonials could not break them. And that's a method and a tradition that stays until now. So which means agency is there, but it doesn't reach another audience outside the borders because it's not written in English. So now there is a growing, like let's say my generation, they go overseas and they write in English, but still like there are few scholars who write in English from North Africa. Like I find El Haythami, others from the Arab world like Sabah Mahmoud and all of that. So that help in the process of understanding cases, which is local cases. Voice. You asked about the voice. Is it positive? Is it so? There is always for Morocco. I grew up learning that there is always a need to push the boundaries. Okay, and that's why in the paper I talks about how Morshidat are caught between. They feel they have knowledge, but they lack power. So there is this need of pushing the boundaries, which should be structural. It should be structural. It means being active in parties and all of that. So it's more than academia. It should go beyond academia, agency, because agency at the political level to bring an idea out. So first there should be, for Morocco case, and I have seen that because I grew up in this atmosphere, there should be, so it starts from the paper, ink and paper, and it has to feature in how much representatives you have in the parliament to achieve that voice. So is it positive? I would say yes, it is positive. Also, when there are some work about the agency, women agency in Morocco and women voice, I mean, translation here comes as a problem rather than an opportunity, because in the process of translating the Moroccan experience in Irshad and Wa'd, a lot of cultural aspects are lost because of the process of translation. Also, it is Morocco case, which means it doesn't have to resemble Western feminism, for example. It's a Moroccan feminism. It's not Western feminism. And here I would like to talk about colonialism, which means the Morocco case doesn't have to be similar to French case or American case, or because here we get lost, you know, because there is not one feminism, it's feminisms in plural. And I think I leave Ahmed to answer the question, and also please don't forget Safina.
Yes. So the part that you were talking, the question about the preaching, is it an old new phenomena? And I totally understand why we are trying to focus on that now. But the most important part that even this conference is talking about is the authority. As the connotation of wa'id, actually it comes at the least of the hierarchy, and that's I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. But in the context now, being a female leader in any institution, now you have an authority, you have a podium to talk for public. This is a different level of just going in the streets and talk to people, because it had been has been over centuries. But having an authority is a different level, because you can speak to the public within your authority, as not as a scholar, but a female voice representing an institution. The wa'idh or wa'idha, there is we know that in Sunni Islam we don't have a hierarchy, so you don't have intermediate between you and when you pray to Allah. But in the knowledge, we have kind of agreements among the scholars and the ulama, especially in the jurisprudence, how they have a hierarchy. So, for example, they start with mujtahid mutlaq. Excuse me. So the mujtahid mutlaq is a person that had absolute knowledge to have the ability to deduce the ahkam or rulings from the text immediately. He doesn't need anybody else. And this is few people that reach this level. And then the mujtahid inside one school, that person that expert in one school in a level that they can deduce the ahkam or ruling inside one school. And then we have the faqih or the jurisprudential knowledge that they only take from the text and the interpretation of other people and say it inside schools or different schools. And we have the muhaddithin in the hadith field or in tafsir, or but the level that comes after that we call da'iyah, which means somebody who is educated enough to know something about every field. So they are qualified in a way that they know in fiqh, in hadith, in tafsir, in Arabic literature. So they know about something about everything, so they can actually be a da'iyah or a caller to Allah. Then the wa'idh. So the wa'idh actually connotate means somebody who knows one topic and can talk about one topic. So this have a connotation that these people are talking about specific this is in the past, specific audience, like for Sufi preachers, or like they just know one something and they talk about it. They don't need to be a scholar. They don't need to be. So that's why it was obvious in anywhere. But in the institutions, it has more authoritative, because you are representing Al-Azhar or you are representing the institution. So the wa'id connotation here, it's not about the hierarchy anymore. It's more about that you are representing the place. So even the mufti or the wa'id, it still has this power, comes from the institution. And the wa'idha as a leader, as a person that can issue a statement or go to a conference representing the institution, it became that they have their own voice. There is still constraint that they say something that disagree with the institution or the framework. This is what we're still testing, as you say.
Is Safina still around?
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah, Safina, would you like to answer some of the questions? Either Safina or Benjamin? Benjamin talks about Da'iyah. Or Safina.
Yeah, they're both here.
So
Okay.
I would like to
Safina.
start by
Oh, there. Can you see her on my computer?
Yes. Safina, go ahead. The floor is yours, Safina.
William is also here, so after Sabina, if you want.
There she is. Oh, and there's Benjamin if you would stand.
Yeah.
Does maybe Benjamin want to answer something?
Benjamin, you would like to answer women agency, the question, Rahina's question, or
Oh, yeah.
the comments? Here is Safina. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the floor is yours. Please take your time you have 5 minutes to answer these questions.
All right. So is it me or Benjamin?
You can start and Benjamin will come
All
after.
right. So I'm sorry about the network. It's one of the realities we live with here in Katsina State because of the banditry we are experiencing. So whenever we have an attack or something, the network tends to become very poor.
Sorry for that. Were you able to hear any of the questions?
Yeah, I think I got the one about Nana Aisha, the one that
Yeah.
someone asked why keep referring back to Aisha and that they feel it's kind of like defensive.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
We didn't get a question about how effective are the preachers.
What was the question?
I mean,
Yeah.
Am I audible?
How effective the preachers, the female preachers are.
Yes. So,
Am I audible?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And she said you.
So we have that question that you heard, Safina, and another question about were the voices in positive. A question that's asked about agency. If you can talk about female agency according to the case study you have.
Yeah.
And the examples you have.
Specifically the question was about if the female preachers are actually effective in women's lives.
Thank you.
Sabina has been muted.
It's muted.
Yes. Oh, maybe we move to Benjamin.
I think either Benjamin or Safina can answer the question. And Safina, you're muted. I don't know if that's because of your internet or not.
Probably it's the internet. Yes, can I
Yes,
respond?
go ahead. Yes.
Thank you.
Am I audible?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Benjamin.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Rahina, for your question. I think I got some of it. Question about agency and the positive impact. First, let me react to that agency. I think there is a question of agency here, looking at what is happening outside the campus and what is happening in the campus, in the sense that women or females on the campus have more to do in the public space and are deciding what they do, the topic they do, and who they get involved. As I mentioned in the presentation, there is an attempt to decide on who to get involved in their presentation this year. Is it only female, or they need to even involve any male? So I think there is a question of agency here, in the sense that they are the one in charge of their affairs. They are the one to decide the topics they are discussing in their own way. I think they are also expressing their agency here. And now the question of the positive impact. I think as much as it serves the university campus, the du'a, the da'iyat, the female preachers, address questions that females feel it is their own question. I think they are also, they have as within that space, they have the positive impact. Although beyond graduation, there is this question of, are they going to continue with what they've been doing in the campus, or they are going to be submerged in the dominant cultural and societal way of viewing the females? There are no much impact beyond graduation, but within the campus and within the social life they are creating for the females, there are positive impact of the female du'at within the campus. Thank you. I hope that answers your question, if I got it right.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Safina? Can you hear us, Safina? Yeah, I can see her.
I mean, this might be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wrap up.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. That was panel number 1, Gendered Religious Authority and Female Preaching. We learned a lot about terminology, and we learned a lot about the doer of the action from داعيات, محدثات, واعظات, ومرشدات, and also we learned a lot of aspects of resistance among this group. So see you after lunch in our second panel, Ethic, Moral Formation, Gender and Religious Instruction, and with the chair, Dr. Salama. Shukran, thank you.